today?
We have essentially until 9 o'clock.
Cool. And how many do we have in class today?
We have, let's see, I'll tell you, 33.
I like that. Cool. Awesome. Good morning, everybody. I am Master Sergeant Harry Young. You can just refer to me as Harry. It's fine. I'll just go right into it. So I play, as you've seen, I play clarinet in the United States, in the President's Own United States Marine Band. I've been in the bands for over 18 years. I grew up in Seattle. Did my last year of high school at the Interlochen Arts Academy before going to the University of Michigan for my bachelor's degree in clarinet performance, and then was fortunate enough to be selected for a position with the band in 2003. So, and I tell you what, time flies when you're having a good time. All right, so I'm just gonna go right into it. Yeah, and thank you so much again for hosting me. I really, really appreciate it. Yeah, please have all that ready. And I'm just going to go right into it. Mindset matters. So, yeah, as I was talking about before, the President's Own United States Marine Band, we've got, I'm so fortunate to be part of this organization. We have about 175 members, winds, brass, we have strings, and we have our own support staff too. There are many pictures of us, so this is why I'm showing this one. This was right before the 2017 inauguration. So, we've got our leadership team at the time, flanking former President Obama, and our drum major, assistant drum major, and whatnot. So for today, learning outcomes. This is, this is a little, I had my first session yesterday, so I've kind of tweaked things a little bit. Anyway, so it might be a little different than what I forwarded to you, Derek. Anyway, so we're going to go through what mindset is and why it matters. We're going to do a centering exercise. Like ideally, you're going to walk away from this with a whole bunch of tools that you can use in band for your academics in your life. I hope, this will give you additional tools in the toolbox. If you know all this stuff already, awesome. Like, keep on doing it. So we have a centering exercise. We're going to do some journaling. And then we're going to go through some organization tips, like once we write these things down, like how to, just piecing, just connecting the dots between where we are right now and where we want to go, right? And then the journey, friendship and community and impact, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right? Like connecting with people and having an impact on each other. Anyway, so before, so we got mindset. It's simply defined as an established set of attitudes. And under that rubric, I wanted to introduce to you or remind you of a few keys that we got here. So that I invite you and challenge you to embrace. It's a very growth mindset sort of deal here, where at its very core we have the concept of the scientific the science of brain plasticity. So the brain is resilient and the mind is flexible. So and along those lines, at any moment we can start anew. I know the past couple of years have been challenging for everyone, myself included. And so if you're kind of in a low spot right now, I see you, I feel you on this, because I like when I was a senior at the Interlochen Arts Academy, I was getting ready for college auditions. So I think I was auditioning for 6 different schools, all the way from USC in Los Angeles all the way to the Curtis Institute of music in Philadelphia. And so, I had, let's see, about 10 to 15 orchestral excerpts, two concertos, um, a handful of clarinet etudes that I was preparing. It's a lot of music, a lot of different skills that I was building up. And so I was having, I was honestly a little overwhelmed, as we all can feel it from time to time. And I came into my lesson, and my teacher at the time was like, "Hey Harry, I know you're kind of having a tough time, but and I know you can do a lot better. So let's just establish it right now as, you know you're having a low moment, and from here the only way's up. So if that's what you're feeling, that's okay. We're gonna start anew right here, right now, and the only way's up, right?" And so a few other things, yeah, we have growth mindset. And you can all, you can write these down and look these up later. There's so much about it, TED Talks, so much on the internet. It's really fantastic. So skills and abilities can be built through patient persistence. So that was an idea introduced to me when I was at the Interlochen Arts Camp by Rice University conducting professor Larry Ratcliffe. Abundance and gratitude mindset. So there's plenty of resources and successes this year. So sometimes we can get a little narrow in our focus, and it's like, oh man, like this pie is right in front of me, and I gotta get as much of it as I can, which is fine. But like, just think, outside of these four walls, there's a lot of world out there. There's a lot out there. So just open your mind, open your eyes, open your senses, and see what else is out there, because there's so much out there. It's amazing. It's fantastic. And then gratitude mindset. Um, yeah, there's something to appreciate no matter the circumstance. So we're gonna appreciate the highs and find meaning from the lows and emerge from them stronger and more resilient. So like, for example, right here, this picture was from a 2005 tour. We were going, we did this was a 50-day tour. So just think of a band trip. Yeah, like plus, like 50-day tour. We got on the bus and did and drove and played concerts all the way from Washington D.C. to New Mexico and back. And we went through, one of the places we went through was Louisiana. And if you think back in history, in 2005 there was this little natural disaster called Hurricane Katrina. And so yeah, this picture was taken in Monroe, Louisiana, northern Louisiana. And so this gentleman next to me, I was walking to the bus, and I was like, "Hey, man, look, he's cooking out there." It's like, "What do you have going on there?" He's like, "Oh, I got some jambalaya." I'm like, "Cool. Then do you want some?" I was like, "Oh, sure, absolutely." And so we get talking, and he's saying to me, "Yeah, I asked him, so why are you here?" And he said, "Well, my house in Lake Charles, Louisiana. This is like right on the coast, southwestern coast of Louisiana, totally gone, and I'm gonna be out of my house for at least 6 months." So here we are at a Holiday Inn, and he and hundreds of other evacuees are there, and he's sharing some jambalaya with me. And for me and my colleagues, we're like, usually we get into this flow of, we're just playing concerts and next town, and it is a grind. But having this experience of seeing the people that we impact, that we affect, that bringing comfort and solace to them, and hope, that was a mutually exclusive, that was a mutually beneficial experience right there. So optimize and utilize mindset. like when we, when you employ these concepts, they ultimately prepare us to maximize our options. So, I have um, a 7 and 5 year old daughters, and like I'm like, oh yeah, my job is to like maximize their options. So, like, so whether if it's myself or anyone in our circle of influence, our family, friends, classmates, right? And then, when opportunities come, when we have the mindset, when we have things clicking on all cylinders, we're able to take advantage of the opportunities. Um, so, and then on a more macro level, we all have a role in making things better. So, yeah, just like I got this awesome quote from Viktor E. Frankl, Auschwitz survivor and author of Man's Search for Meaning. Um, you know, for the world is in a bad state, but everything will become still worse unless each of us does our best. Yeah. So, yeah, just I'll let that sink in for a little bit. Um, yeah. So we all have a role in making things better. Yeah. So, and this is and all of us sitting in this room, um, we this is the time, this is when we set the stage, this is when we build the foundation, right, doing this together, right? um, yeah, here's some pictures from my past here. So, grew up in Seattle, and it's got my Snoopy hat, sporting it, super awesome. um, I got some, got the super awesome garb here, with the bass clarinet fantat, and how about the suspenders? Holy cow, totally forgot about those. And then, yeah, this was from Interlaken. So, my folks immigrated from Indonesia in the mid 1970s. Um, my dad did auto body work, and my mom stayed home to take care of myself and my younger sister. And so, not the most financial resources by any stretch of imagination. So, when the opportunity came, um, for me to attend the Interlochen Arts Camp and the Academy, you know, um, utilize all of my resources. This was before crowdfunding, so I put on a couple benefit recitals, and that kind of set things, got things rolling, and uh, uh, a number of people, a number of things worked in my favor, and I was super fortunate. Yeah, and fast forward, 2019. You know, um, I've got this wealth of experiences, including performing under great musicians like John Williams. This was in 2019. Um, we're performing together at Royce Hall at UCLA in Los Angeles. Yeah, and with the pandemic, one of the silver linings for me was, January 2021. I get this email from our director, and he says, "Hey Harry, so we're gonna have this recording with a this concert with a flute soloist, but because of the pandemic, we're gonna postpone that. So would you like to play the Mozart Clarinet Concerto?" And so after about 5 nanoseconds, I was like, "Yeah, let's do this." So, yeah, this is my view from where I was to the empty hall. Um, and so, like I was mentioning, I got 7 5 year old daughter back in 2018. We're gonna kick it down a notch here. Yeah, and this was just from a cold. She had this cycle where whenever she would get a cold, this was she's just, yeah, barely 1 year old. She'd get a cold, and then when it migrated down to her lungs, it would inflame them, and so and after a series of these complications, was admitted to the hospital. But it was a growing experience for all of us. We went, and through the thickest of it, it was just like one thing after the other. Luckily, she did all right, and fast forward, and this was all of us after the Wolf Trap concert that I forwarded to you last June. So got myself, got here's Annabelle, the one that was in the hospital. Got her big sister Abby, my wife Kathy, and my sister and her husband. So yeah, I mean, just stick with it, and we get through it, right? So centering. I'm gonna ask. Yeah. So accessing. So like just yeah. The the instance that I think of this of this technique of sorts. We're gonna take a while with this, but when you get when you have a go time moment, or if you need a moment just to slow down. I think back. I personally think back to last year's inauguration. Like the vaccines were just being rolled out, and we're sitting there, and we were reminded by our director, these mics are very hot. And and there were, I think, maybe 2,000 people there, and like between participants and attendees, very compared to other inaugurations. And then the 20,000 National Guard people just around that security perimeter around the United States Capitol. But at the same time, we know the whole world's watching, and those mics are very hot. And so um, you know at the very core, it's just the breath of, I don't know if you could hear that, but so let me go back to this. Oops. So I'm going to ask everyone here to, we're going to, let's put everything down, and we're going to just sit, feet on the floor. You can have your palms face up. You can have your palms face down, however you want. It's referred to as a comfortable seat. We're just going to close our eyes. And for right now, we're just going to take the next few moments just to just breathe naturally. You can sit with your back up, straight back, or if you just want to, if you want to be comfortable, your back against a chair, that's totally fine too. So just breathe. We're all here together. We got out of bed. It's awesome. We're all together. It's great. And just notice what you're feeling, what you're hearing. And then just notice one thing. Just ask yourself, what's one thing I could do to be a little more comfortable? And then once you figure that thing out, just make that adjustment to be even a little more comfortable. Yeah. Great. Awesome. Let's keep on breathing. And now we're going to deepen our breaths a little more. We're going to breathe a little more into our chest, through the nose, into the chest, down into the belly. and then out. And I'm going to do some inhales to 3 and exhales on 3 count inhale, 3 count exhale. Okay. So inhale, 2, 3, exhale, 2, 3. Inhale, 2, 3, exhale, 2, 3. Keep going and out. Keep going. Okay. Just feel it. I personally notice, when I'm breathing really deeply, just the the lower part of my back expanding a little bit too. Yeah. So really get in there and really feel it. Okay. Going and great. And as we're breathing, I want you to think of something that you're grateful for. So it could be, I got out of bed. I made it into class. That's something to be grateful for sure. I remember having 8 o'clock band at Interlochen too. It was fresh, but it was a great way to connect musically and emotionally with my friends and classmates. It's really great. Well, for me, I made some really tasty pork chops with mashed potatoes and green beans. Very tasty. Well, right now I'm seeing I woke up and there was a really nice sunrise. So what is that for you? Just keep on breathing and think of that thing or things that you're grateful for. Could be a small moment, could be a larger moment, but think of it and feel it. Now let's move on to um, while as we're breathing, let's move on to something that inspires you. Could be a person, could be a thing. Like yeah, like the sunrises. Those can be really beautiful. Like the different colors. We've got the Olympics, the Winter Olympics starting. So seeing the world's best athletes doing their thing, that's pretty darn inspiring. And ask yourself, what about that inspires me? And feel it. So as a student, when I first started um, private lessons, I had my private teacher gave me this recording of a couple Beethoven symphonies, and I was just so struck with uh, how good a clarinet could sound. Like how great an ensemble could sound. So what is that for you? Keep on breathing. And then I'm going to invite you to slowly wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, Keep on breathing and slowly open your eyes. That was really nice, everybody. Thank you so much. Let's pick up our notebooks and our pencils. We're going to do some journaling now. We're going to write about this here. So just like we were doing in our centering exercise. So, let's write some of these things down. Let's get them on paper. Let's get them, let's get them concrete. So let's write those things that we're grateful for. So take all the time you need, and Mr. Rahali, if you could help me out, just give me the audio cue for when we can move on from this. So what are some things that you're grateful for? Or if you're in a tough place right now, it's all good. What could you be grateful for? And that's okay. I mean, even if it's just I got out of bed, I made it to class, like that's okay. You're here. That's awesome. Okay. And then those inspiration questions of what and or who inspires me. And what about that or them inspires you? And what are, what is something or some things that I want to emulate about those inspirational figures? And then the last two questions there are more action oriented of what are 3 things I can do today to be more like that inspirational figure? And who are 3 people or 3 resources that I can access, talk with to get me closer to. So today, you can. Oh, we doing okay?
Yep, we're good.
Okay, so you can. So today it could be something music related. It could be academic related. It could be friend related. It could be you could apply this to so many different things. So just open it up to yourself. And this is for you. This is for you. So just you're doing this for yourself. And then as we get these ideas down, feel free to share these with each other, with a good friend, with your family if you like, your private teacher, your coach. Yeah, this is the time to get those things out that have been inside of you for the past 2 years. So yeah, man, just go for it. I'm here to support you. Mr. Rohali's here to support you. We're all, we're here to support each other. You know what I'm saying? So, um, and if people need, if people are, if folks need more time, just feel free to raise your hands, and Mr. Rohali can um, take a look and let me know. However you want to do it. It's great, everybody.
Just like Harry said, try to branch out besides just music. Talking about coaches, talking about friendships.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other things.
Yeah. Because as we've learned, this world is very connected. And so like, you look from the very small to the very seemingly very large, and it's all connected, right? Just the fact that, myself and my colleagues can do these sessions with students from all around the country, all around the world. Like, it's amazing. It's definitely something that Mr. Rohali and I could only have dreamed of growing up, right?
Well, it's funny because the thought that like you're talking about connecting with others and the silver lining that you had with playing the Mozart Clarinet pandemic is I've been able to connect with so many other people through Zoom or whatever it is, whether it's college friends from 20 years ago or it was Dennis de Blasio playing Barry Sachs from Maynard Ferguson. So there's a lot of like cool things that we're able to
Right.
through.
Yeah.
And learn.
And if y'all want to write down a silver lining from, because it's easy to think about the challenges that we had, like, for sure. Like, there's like, we can look at that pile. That's no problem. But like, what like, when we like, that's part of that gratitude mindset. Like, because the way our brains work is that we kind of experience what we focus on. So and we have the choice to focus on whatever we want. So like, just building that muscle, that choice muscle, like, I think that's a huge distinction, right? I think Mr. Rohali can definitely agree with me. Like, we look now that we have a little more experience under our belt, and as you are building right now. I mean, even if you look back not so long ago, you can think back to people and circumstances where they had a choice and they chose one way, and you look at other people and circumstances and they chose a different way. And it's a small but profound distinction. So how are we doing there, Mr. Rohali?
I think
People need more time?
I think we're ready to move on.
All right, cool, awesome, solid. So getting organized. So now that we've written stuff down, here's some ideas for how we move on from that, right? So the more we get organized, I feel like the more we're poised to get things done that we want to, right? So I want to point out this one, the checklist. If nothing else, just automating those types of things. Just so let's so for example, like, before I leave home to go to work, case, wallet, phone, backpack. So backpack is my clarinet. It's got my and then in there it's got my clarinet, got my swab, and I got this go bag. So it's got like it's a little bag with reeds and neck strap, cork grease, all those things, and earplugs. Just those things that you might need when you're on stage, right? So just feel free to write one down if you want to copy down that, just so you just always remember, right? Always remember, right? And then scheduling practice journals. So for me, and you can apply this to your academics, you can apply this to workouts, you can apply this so many different ways. So so when I was at the Interlochen Arts Academy, they had this 10 p.m. curfew. So like at 10 p.m. you had to stop practicing. You had to go back to your dorm rooms before 11 o'clock lights out. But they had no restrictions on when you could start. Well, per se, it's not like you could start at like 3 a.m. But so what I did, I was like, okay, well, let me just wake up at 6:30 and do a little practice before breakfast, right? So just little things like that. So like creating a new routine, modifying your routine, and then scheduling. So for me, I mentioned uh, the workload of stuff that I had to practice for my college auditions, right? So so I wish I could, yeah, I wish I could find it. I can't. I know it's somewhere in this house, but I um, wrote down pretty much to the minute, like what I would practice. So like for 10 minutes, I'll just do my scales. 5 minutes, I'll do Mendelssohn's Scherzo. 15 minutes, I'm gonna do the Mozart Clarinet Concerto. Just like little, and just piece, like taking little chunks of these, these, all the different literature that I was working on, and just like being very surgical about what I would. So like in Mendelssohn's Scherzo, I'm just gonna go from this is an excerpt where. So I'm gonna go. Ideally that's like 80 to the dotted quarter note. So instead, I'm gonna slow it down big time, and I'm just go da 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 da, and just take it up one click, one click, one click, right? And when we so anyway, that was a very effective strategy for me. Hopefully for you too. And then schedule in, yeah, and I scheduled in like the rest. So like 10 minutes, I will take a break and like talk to people. Not too much, but just enough, right? Um, and then create incentives for yourself too, right? So like in addition to scheduling in, like for me, like when I practice now, it's like sometime, or like for band rehearsals, we have 3 hour rehearsals. We have 2 or 3 breaks, and I definitely take a snack in between, because sometimes the music that we play is very physical, like as a woodwind or a brass wind player, or yeah, percussion. I mean, it's physical stuff, right? So anyway, but creating incentives. So like, if I get this done, I will watch an episode of whatever, or yeah, however you want to do it. Anyway, so and then affirmations. So define and remind yourself of who you want to be, who you are, and what you're going to do. So that's along the lines of like the journaling. So just an example is every day, in every way, I'm getting stronger and stronger. Yeah. So just yeah, and then limiting distractions. So I think now even more. Yeah, I know it's because I have kids, but just making sure that I'm really, when it's time to be focused and on a certain task, you know, just blocking everything else for um, just kind of like we did for the centering, but with that a singular task, right? So and for me, what was helpful is just being mindful of social media use. So it's like I do it a little bit, but just everything in moderation, yeah. And then the journey. Um, I think one big distinction to highlight is expectations. So like yeah, I totally encourage you to aim high and dream big, but also to have enough flexibility to adjust as you go along, right? Um, so like when I was a high school student, I really wanted to be the conductor of the Berlin Philharmonic. But as I found out about what those conductors, the kind of lifestyle that the conductors have, I was like, I maybe I want something different, right? So and as you go along, like things you're gonna and at that point, I had no idea about the United States Marine Band. I actually did not find out about the United States Marine Band until senior year at the University of Michigan. Like yeah, like a month before I had my first audition for the band. Right. So you just never know what's gonna happen, who you're gonna meet, what you're gonna learn, and that's gonna change things for sure. And so along those lines, we're gonna focus on the process, focus on process, focus on what you're doing and how you're doing it, and the outcomes will change as a result, guaranteed. Right. So like if there's a certain circumstance, so um, if the circumstance is a certain way and it can't really change, you can still change within that framework, right? So, and then things will happen. And when they do, what did I learn? And what will I change going forward, right? So, pretty simple there. Feel free to write that one down. That's along that growth mindset mentality there, right there, yeah. And then persistent everyday effort builds momentum and yields big long-term results. And then yeah, language, so the self-talk that we all have. So when we're trying to accomplish and get somewhere, be firm with yourself, but be kind to yourself, right? I mean, especially after the past couple of years, just let's it's okay, it's okay, but let's keep on going. Okay, like a little baby does not learn how to walk in a day or a week, but over the course of building those muscles, of building the standing muscles and falling down hundreds of times, they eventually learn, right? So and just taking and applying that sort of that framework to what we do, like some the learning curve is a little shorter, but some but it's dependent on it kind of depends on what you're trying to do, right? And focus on the processes and outcomes you want. So um, if I am learning something very technical, or yeah, so let's say for the Mozart Clarinet Concerto, for example, I had a couple keys, um, like keys to the game, right? It's like, okay, so like keys to the Mozart Clarinet Concerto, like I had them, and they were kind of like in this kind of a game plan. So like in this section, I want to do this. In this section, I want to do this. Kind of like themes, or like they can be themes. They can be very specific, however you want to do it. And most importantly, stay in the game. You never know how or when a breakthrough will come. So along those lines, another thing that I'm kind of into is personal finance. And so I found these folks. They had this, these folks. They had federal jobs. They grew up very modestly in modest households, but they retired before the age of 40. And they're kind of doing their own thing now. It's pretty awesome. So anyway, so they highlight in one of their recent videos, they highlighted this S&P 500, this S&P 500 index study, where if you missed the top 10 investment days each decade up until today from 1930, you would have a 28% return. Not bad, okay? But if you stayed in the game, if you stayed in the market for those many years, not missing the top 10 investment days, you would have a 17,715% return. Just put into, because like there's so many things that we can't quantify, right? But with these sorts of things, you can absolutely quantify. So just yeah, that I think that's kind of stood out to me. And then Deepak Chopra, when he was on Ellen DeGeneres' show, and she's ending her show very soon here. he had this great quote of embracing the wisdom of uncertainty is the doorway to creativity. So, you know, we certainly have embraced, or I'm sorry, we certainly have experienced a good deal of uncertainty. We still are experiencing. You will continue to experience uncertainty as things go along. M- You know, sometimes more than others, right? But if we're willing to be open to embrace that wisdom that it has to offer us, um, yeah, you never know where it'll lead you, right? And then friendships and community. So yeah, instead of it's easy to be like, man, what is wrong with them? But if we're kind and considerate and patient, and we seek to understand each other, and like by using such questions of like, what is going on? What could be going on? That's a different mentality there, right there. Yeah. Viewing another success as an inspiration and feeding off each other. So I had, I had a lot of great classmates, both at Interlochen and Michigan, and we definitely employed that as long as with sharing with and helping each other. So just having that sort of that vibe, I think can be very beneficial for everyone, and everyone has something to contribute. So this here is talking about technical passages. This was a little spread of some music that I played on Sunday. I was playing third clarinet, and so yeah, in the art section we rotate all the time, and it's pretty cool. So we get to play different parts for different pieces. This is from the Firebird Suite. Um, this is the Infernal Dance. So yeah, so it there are parts. There are certainly parts that are more pedestrian than this, but yeah, like in this case, everybody's part mattered, and we take an immense amount of pride in that sort of mentality of like we all have something to contribute, right? And enjoy each other's journey. This is my best man here, um, Aaron. We met each other in Interlochen, became best friends, and at the University of Michigan. And this surfing picture was taken in 2003, and this is a picture of us in 2019 at one of our tour concerts. So yeah, you never. It's just just the friendships that you're making right now, the friendships that you have made. Like you just that like yeah, you just never know, man. That's just really fantastic. And impact. Um, what at the end of the day, right? People don't always remember exactly what you do, but they almost always remember how you make them feel, right? So, with that in mind, what will your impact be? And I in this picture here, yeah, my wife is not asleep making these sandwiches with my daughters. It's just, it's you gotta love photography sometimes, right? Anyway, so but in this picture, we're making sandwiches for homeless people in the Washington D.C. area. So, like, and my mother-in-law, she um, headed the local food pantry in a town of 2,000 in rural Maine for many, many years. So, like, you know, um, just you may think it's a small thing that you're doing, but um, you never know. So, it's just like this gentleman right here, World War II veteran. Um, and he was just doing what in his mind he was just following orders. He was just doing his thing. But um you know fast forward a few years, like that has an impact. And just the interactions that you have as you travel, just like these two here, from our 2019 Japan tour. We had some students up here, and the um our collaboration with the Japanese ground self-defense forces central band. based in Tokyo. That was a very memorable concert. And then yeah, the 2021 inauguration. There you go. So anyway, I'm gonna open it up to questions now. Thank you so much for your time and attention, and I and thank you again for hosting me. So yeah.
What are some questions that you guys have?
So you can ask me about this. You can ask me, like, if you're a clarinet player and you want to ask me clarinet stuff, cool. If you want to ask me, like, you can ask me anything. I may not answer it, but you can certainly ask me anything.
A cat person or a dog person?
Dog.
There you are.
Yeah. I mean, partially it's because I'm allergic to cats. I do like cats, but yeah, it's funny. My wife, when we first started dating, she's like, "Man, you're almost like a middle-aged woman, like wanting to have a baby, like looking at those dogs. Like, what's wrong with you, man?" Anyway.
What was your favorite performance?
Favorite performance? We had this one of our anniversary concerts in 2008, where John Williams was conducting us, and so we're playing his music. He's conducting, yeah, he's conducting us playing his music, and we have um, the film playing at the same time. So like that was wild. And then yeah, you saw those Japan pictures. People talk about like the the international language of music, and it's like, okay, that sounds kind of cheeky, but that we had when we were doing the gala performance for the 50th anniversary of the Japan Band Clinic, and seeing in real time the reactions from the Japanese students and Japanese band educators, like, yeah, that was something. And then yeah, we played. They thought we were just doing 2 encores, and then also, they're kind of chill people, like they're kind of modest, and we were told by folks like, like, you're gonna, and we certainly heard it, like they had like a polite soft clap, and then they had a larger clap, but they actually gave us a standing ovation, which was like, wow, that was really cool. And then yeah, our director, yeah, Colonel Fettig, came on for the third encore, and just like this room of 2,500 people, just hearing it go, oh, like that was really something. Yeah. So what you practice for, right? Like those moments, like, yeah, for sure.
Good.
Yes.
Is there any way to speed up your fingers when going through runs and pieces?
Can you repeat the question there?
Is there any way for you to speed up your fingers when going through runs?
Yeah. So you can, couple quick tips. So you can so if you're doing like 16th notes, so da 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 da, right? So first, being deliberate, having good finger position, right? Because if your fingers are kind of all over the place and they have to literally travel an inch versus a 16th of an inch or an eighth of an inch, that's a huge difference, right? So that's the first thing. Second thing, doing patterns. So like da 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 da, right? Like doing those patterns, because then you get, so you're doing two things. You're doing more twitchy things. Can't come up with a better term, but it's, you're doing those twitch muscles, right? Um, and then also just mixing it up in your brain so that it's learning the notes but in a different way, right? So like the brain works in very mysterious ways, like all those different neural pathways. And then just doing drills, right? So I usually start, if it's very, very technical, I usually start like half tempo and just go like, now with the digital metronomes, I go 4 to 5 tempo markings up. So like 60 to 65 and so on and so forth, right? Yeah, great question. Great questions.
Anybody else have one? So that's our bell, but before you guys leave, I'll write your pass on big deal. Can we get a picture with you? We're gonna have all
Yeah,
our
absolutely.
students go in the front of the projector screen here. So can you guys just take your bodies, leave your backpacks where they're at?
Thank you so much, everybody. This is great.
Yeah.
Especially first thing in the morning. Go get them. It's great.
You guys can go underneath them. It's okay. You don't have to go on the side. Go underneath. Okay. Perfect. Go ahead and move the gold stand. Somebody can sit on my chair. I'll move if I can. Somebody can sit on your chair? Yes. Okay. So sit on your chair, move up more. There we go, so we can get a little more room there. Here we are. Everyone say cheese. Perfect.
Awesome.
That was the most depressing cheese I've ever used.
We can see us.
All right, can we give Master Sergeant Ong a huge round of applause and thank you?
Thanks, everybody. Awesome. Awesome.
I'll write in your channel, everybody, your late pass. So if you need to show your teacher that you're late, just show them in the general channel that you can pass, okay?
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody.
So
Thank you.
that was great. Thanks so much. Thanks. It was wonderful to hear, the same things I'm saying. Whether
No, for
it's
sure. I mean, it's tough because, dude,
all that stuff.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I can only imagine what it's been like for y'all, man.
Yeah. In New Jersey, we're still pretty locked down right now with COVID, dealing with it.
Right.
They just lifted our mask mandate for March 7th coming up, so things are going to change here. And I think the emotional stuff that you're talking about, social emotional learning, is really important, especially as we get to that high, almost anxiety state now, where masks are going or bell covers are going, and we have to deal with that.
Yeah.
So thank you again. That was really
no worries, man. Yeah. Feel free to share whatever feedback you got. And then, yeah, all the best to you guys. Yeah, it's kind of